What's up, YouTube? It's Professor Murph here. So, I just want to talk about how in the 1990s, every comic book creator was a rock star. And what I mean by this is it's really hard probably to understand today if you didn't grow up in the 80s and the 90s just how big comic books had become. I was fortunate enough to launch my first series at age 17 in 1992, right at the time that Image had launched. And I remember getting a phone call when the newspaper article came out. It was a little Civil War, black and white Civil War book. When I got the call, it was a local comic book store down the street. They said, "We have people in here in line waiting for your book. Where are you?" And I thought, "Where am I? I don't even know you." So I got in the car, drove to the comic store. The place was packed. They had a little table set up for me in the back, and I went back there and started signing books. And there must have been 100 people in line, which was amazing. I felt like Rob Liefeld at the moment. So even me, a guy still in high school, in a relatively not a huge market. I mean, Jacksonville had quite a few comic stores, but it wasn't a huge city like New York or anything. Um, but yeah, in 1992, launched my series, and it got picked up by Diamond Comics and Capital City and Heroes World. Those were the three biggest distributors in the country. So it was quite amazing. You could pretty much create anything, no matter how niche, because it was very niche. I mean, it was Civil War based, so it wasn't really in line with a lot of the things that were out at the time. It was mostly muscle bound superheroes and things. I always thought this was funny. Forget Image and the latest Marvel hype. These are the comics that will become true collectibles. Comics like and the Southern Blood. So yeah, it was a fictional thing, but I put it in a historical setting, and was very inspired by artists like Guy Davis, who did The Realm. I based a lot of my art style, probably too much, off of Guy Davis. It in the long run probably kind of limited me from growing. You got to be careful, guys, if you're doing art, to not get locked into too much of a style, or mimicking somebody else. It slows down your growth. But yeah, I was my goal was to do 30 issues, which is pretty ambitious. I was a kid. I didn't know what I was getting into. Made it to 7 issues plus an issue 0. But yeah, we sold out of every print run, thousands of copies, which was, for such a niche market thing, was a pretty big deal back then. The biggest thing I gained from it, though, was learning storytelling, which is important. When you draw enough panels and God, look how much line work I put into this. This was the hyper detail era, Todd McFarlane and things like that. Everybody was trying to be as detailed as possible. Today, it's almost the opposite with comics. That comics look a lot like animation now. They put a lot of pressure on the colorist now to carry the art, and they don't put as much cross hatching or shadows in the work like they used to. Some artists do. So then I went to color, which was the old school newsprint style. Here's the thing, today comic publishers have the ability to print so much cheaper and such higher production value than back then. Doing color back then, you actually had to do the color separations yourself, and that's what I did. There's an issue where it was in color, and all of those, all the colors you see there, I had to do with an opaquing marker on clear acetate. You do like yellow 25%, yellow 50%. Sometimes you'd miss colors. You didn't see really what it looked like until it was printed. You were just opaquing out cells, and then a newspaper printer would run it through the press and print the colors that way. And of course, I ran ads in America's Civil War magazine and a lot of historical publications. Most of my readers were not comic readers, they were history buffs, Civil War buffs. So most of my sales came from, or the money came from subscriptions. I sold a lot through Diamond and the distributors, but they take a huge discount. Now, this is pretty funny. I used to skip school in 11th grade to go home and draw comics, and then in 12th grade, I figured out how to join the work program so I could legally go home and draw comics. And the area superintendent sent me a personal letter, excited about the article. Could you imagine today a public school sending you a letter because you published a comic book? Now, fast forward to 2008, I did a graphic novel, Claiborne, another Civil War project, but this one was based on a true, actual historical figure. And once again, Diamond distributed the book. Now, at this point, Diamond was the only distributor left. There were really no other major distributors. Capital City and Heroes World had gone out of business. And Claiborne did fairly well. It sold about the same amount of copies as Southern Blood did, which shows you what a decline, even in 2008, there was in the marketplace. If I had released a book like this in 92, it probably would have sold 10 times the amount. You'll find as an artist, you improve. About every decade or every half a decade, if you keep drawing, you get better and better and better. And this is honestly after a huge hiatus from comics. I was doing musicals and things and writing for theater. And it got some reviews and, got some coverage, won some awards, did pretty good stuff. So that's sort of the gist of it. But yeah, in the 90s, you could be a rock star. It was very easy. Now, today, the rock stars are being made in crowdfunding. I think crowdfunding is the future. So check out my series War Party. You can get a free autographed poster. A link is in the description, and we'll be launching in the fall. I look forward to bringing you guys more comics. Thanks.
Everything changed when war reached the Americas. Caught between the French and the British, my family paid the price. Only my darling Sarah survived. They took her away. We couldn't save them, but we will save her. 5 men against thousands, how can it be done? But we are not merely men. War has brought out the beast in us all. And we will have our vengeance, for we are
the War Party.